My cat might interrupt though.
A new comedy film is now on digital release called Wanda and Sully. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the co-writer and director, Dee Day, and the producer, Nick Owens. Welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Hello,
Uh,
thank you for having us. Um,
Thank you.
Pleasure. Good to talk to you
Diane isn't
both.
actually the director.
I'm not. I'm the executive producer, and so is Nick. But I did co-write it. That is correct.
Hmm.
Ah, okay. Oh, I was given wrong information. Okay, fair enough. All right, let's talk about the creation of Wanda and Sully, which is set in a school which deals with corruption. Ah, shock horror. Um, what what's the inspiration behind the story of Wanda and Sully?
Well, that's a very funny story. I was an intern at a very, very small production company in 2018, where I actually wrote on the company time. But it's okay. I wasn't getting paid. I was an intern, so I wasn't getting paid. But I wrote the film at this production company where the two heads of the production company were basically exploiting us. They were doing everything that's possible, everything they could that was legal but without paying us, if that makes sense. So everything they were doing was technically above board, but still really morally ambiguous. And they were the inspirations for Mr. Edward and Jonathan, who were obviously the antagonists of the film. And before that, I was studying entertainment journalism, where I was really invested in the 2016 federal election and the Russian hacking of the 2016 federal election, and I was really engaged, like conceptually fascinated by that. And I thought I was thinking a lot about democracy and how media controls people and how you can really just influence people's perceptions of things with information. And that really influenced Wanda and Sully because I thought it would be fun to take all of these concepts and wrap them in a high school comedy.
Uh-huh. And it was all shot in Geelong, I read.
No, the school scenes were shot in Brighton, but the other scenes were shot in Geelong. Oh, and the
Ah,
cafe
Wait,
scenes were shot in Brighton as well.
and actually about half of the school scenes were shot in Brighton, the other half was shot in SAE.
Oh, yes, that is correct. Yeah, my mistake.
Yeah, SAE University. And really only one scene was shot in Lara.
Yeah, that is
The
correct.
car park scene.
okay. Very
Lara
good.
Woolies.
Yeah, Lara Woolies.
Okay.
I used to work there, so I managed to get that one for as a favor.
Ah, I was going to say product placement in Wonder and Sully Woolies. Very good. Okay, so how easy was it to make this film to get production behind you, Nick and Dee, so that you can actually shoot it?
Oh,
That's the neat part. It wasn't. It
yeah,
wasn't easy.
it wasn't very easy. We almost any time we thought something was going right, it would we would get some sort of time constraint or the location would decide that they didn't want us anymore or something like that. Like when we first showed up to Brighton Secondary, it turns out that the person we'd been talking to get the location hadn't relayed that information to the groundskeeper. And so we had to go through this whole rigmarole of trying to get the groundskeeper on our side. Then, once we actually got his permission to film, we were given the building that we didn't want to film in instead of the building that we did want to film in. So we had to come up with some rewrites to make it work in this new building that we had to shoot in. And then yeah, those all kinds of having to work on the school bell being only able to use parts of certain buildings, and yeah, it was a lot of problem solving.
Wow,
Mm.
uh, the glamour of filmmaking, it's always
Yeah.
a fraught process. I can understand that. Why the names Wanda and Sully?
Yeah. Well, when I was working on another project, I thought it would be fun. I thought it would be like a fun little X-Files reference. So Mulder and Scully, and I thought it rhymed with I just like, it occurred to me one day Wanda and Sully rhymed with Mulder and Scully, and I'm terrible at coming up with names for characters, so I sort of ran with it.
Yeah, it rolls off the tongue very well, so it's a very easy title to like, hey, have you seen Wanda and Sully? You know?
Mm.
Okay. Okay. No, that sounds fair enough. So, how easy was it to fashion the final screenplay so that you were able to shoot the film? Because obviously, screenplays go through a number of iterations.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's well, we had a couple of script doctors. We had Callum, who played Eugene Lemon. He was a script doctor for the film. And he essentially reviewed what was possible and what wasn't and what affected the pacing. And he liked most of the script. So most of the script is virtually unchanged from the original final draft. So the shooting script, I mean. So yeah, it wasn't too much of a laborious process to actually edit it down to make sure it was realistic. I literally wrote it so that it was achievable for us.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. And tell me about casting. How did you find your lead actors and the rest of the cast?
Part of it was through auditions, but quite a few of the cast members are friends or friends of friends. Um, Mika, for example, the actress who plays Wanda, I was in a drama class with her for several years, and so I basically asked if she wanted to audition for the role, and she was a very good audition, so she managed to get the part. Sully was, I think, the character that went through the most auditions, and before we found Grant, who was perfect. We originally, I believe, had Dave Callan to play Mr. Redwood, but he had to leave the project pretty close to filming. So we managed to luckily get Mitch, who at this point I can't imagine anyone else doing the role because Mitch was so great. And then
Yeah.
all the other supporting characters, yeah, part of them were auditions through. I think did we use Star Now?
I think we use Star now, but mostly friends of friends.
Mostly friends of friends, yeah, or just friends.
Yeah,
People
that
that we
too.
already had connections with. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, well done on that, because they're very good. How long did the shoot take, and how easy was it for the actors to get into their roles?
The shoot actually took 17 days. Um, so I think it was like 7 days at the high school and 10 days at or
It
nine
was the
days
other.
at
Yeah,
oh
I think we had
yeah.
more days in Brighton than we had at SAE. So a lot of the SAE scenes were very a lot of time constraints with those. But Brighton, I think we were also on campus a little longer. So yeah, but I wish we had like a whole extra week.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Now, uh, the story is interesting. Corruption in a school, and I'm sure the education department will want to see this film for advice, but but I. But as I was watching it, immediately a film that came to mind was Election, which I'm sure you know about, which Reese Witherspoon, I think, was in that, and that was
That was a massive inspiration. That is my favorite teen comedy of all time.
ah.
It does everything so well. It manages to take real life political issues and wrap them in a high school comedy, which is exactly what I wanted to do. But it's probably the smartest teen comedy I've ever seen. And I think that
Hmm.
it's absolutely one of my favorite films. Yeah. Alexander Payne, what a great filmmaker.
Yes, yes. But the message, the underlying message that corruption can exist anywhere, even in a school, and I like the way the story sort of pans out. Um, I was actually quite impressed by that because it's still a distinctive film of yours, even if Election was the inspiration. Yeah.
Oh, my cat's wanting to
Yeah.
interrupt.
Yeah, I also took inspiration from other sources. Like it's really a synthesis of various things. I tried to make it a little bit lighter than Election because Election it can be quite dark. So I was
Yep.
trying to take elements of like Community, the TV show, and the film adaptation of 21 Jump Street. I was trying to make it a little bit sillier and a little bit lighter
Uh-huh.
so
Yeah.
that it
Okay.
could appeal not only appeal to a broader audience, but also just I love Election, but it can be. I don't know if you consider that film a bit inaccessible, but I don't think it did very well on release, and I wanted to broaden the audience scope a little bit with Wanda and Sully.
No, that's fair enough. And you certainly have done that by setting it in a school and so on. Um, as you were shooting, as the film was being shot, did were there any changes being made as the film was progressing, or was it pretty much the screenplay locked off before you started shooting?
Pretty much, with the exception of a handful of scenes that we just couldn't get time to shoot, and that
Yeah.
affected the pacing.
But also the actors were pretty much told to stick to the dialogue. Oh, sorry, my cat just jumped on my desk and knocked my camera over. I think yeah, we were very close to the script. I don't think there was much improvisation in the film.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
That said, one of the best jokes in the film is improv.
I
It
think
was a little bit of
one of the funniest jokes was improvised while we were editing the sound.
that
The
is
leverage
correct.
joke.
Yes.
We just kept adding more. I think while we were on set, Mike and I, because I play the character Vladimir and Mike plays Dmitri, or it might be the other way around. It's been a while since we shot this film.
Ah,
Um, well, I think in the script it just says leverage twice, but while we were on set, we just kept saying leverage over and over again because we thought it was funny. And then while we were editing the sound, we added an extra leverage that gets cut off right at the end of the scene, and we were just cackling at that. I think that was one of the
That
funniest
that
edits we
made
did.
me cackle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we didn't tell you
I was
about
just
it until
watching
we
it and
showed
you
you.
didn't tell me. And I was just watching it and I was like, oh yeah, this oh my God. And I started cackling in that exact and I was so
Yeah.
pleased with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Uh,
Okay. Interesting to hear that. Tell me about the crew that you used to shoot the film, because did you have one cinematographer, one camera? How did it all work?
Well, our cinematographer, yeah, we had one cinematographer, a couple of camera assists. Darby, who is our DOP, was incredible. He's such a
mm,
good DOP, even though he won't admit it himself. He's such a perfectionist. So everything he does, he puts 110% into. Uh, we had a number of really good camera assistants. Ross Gibson was our first AC. We had two sound guys, one on the boom mic and one on the actual sound equipment, Tim Smith and Lewis McQueen, and they were both exceptional. Um, yeah, we had a very talented crew.
mm.
Is there anything
Okay.
you want to say, Nick?
They're all sourced through favors and friends of friends and stuff as well. So a lot of people worked on this film who were passionate about the story.
Mm.
Okay, well done. It certainly flows very smoothly, and I was wondering as I was watching it too whether the film would end in a different way or a particular way. Did you sort of discuss the way that the film would conclude, or was it always going to conclude in that way?
It was always going to conclude in that way. I feel
Ah,
like the irony of the receipt actually having evidence for the corruption at the end was always going to pan out that way. And that said, Nick did a lot of editing. If we like the ending was always going to end that way, but then Nick did a lot of like editing for the specifics of the actual ending. We didn't
Yes.
we didn't actually the I don't know whether I should spoil it, but the meme scene at the very end with
Yeah.
all of the memes that are on the green screen, we didn't actually write that in the script, but Nick decided to have a field day with it and it was amazing.
It was a lot
ah,
of fun to do that. I think we originally just had like it was a very minimalist edit when it came to that scene. There were like maybe a few small meme references during that, and then I just said this needs to go overboard. So I went overboard, and I had a lot of fun with that. I think that was probably the most fun I had on this production was coming up with that meme scene. But also, I think literally the movie was definitely going to end that way because we shot the ending, I think, on our second day. So.
ah.
Mhm.
How interesting to hear that. Yes, I was going to ask you about the editing, and you obviously were very much in control of that and the way it was going to conclude. So, Wanda and Sully, getting the film out there is very important, and it's great that you're able to get Bounty Films on board. What reactions have you had so far to where the film or how the film has been screened?
Wow is usually the reaction. You got a distributor for that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we've been very lucky with Bounty, and they've been very gracious to us, and most of our reactions have been fairly positive. We've been scouring IMDb and Letterboxd to see anytime someone blogs or adds a review or a rating or something, because we're just that desperate for attention. And yeah, generally it's been pretty positive. Obviously, we've had a few negative reviews here and there, but that comes with making a film,
Oh yeah.
really. And even the negative reviews have generally been pretty helpful. So they've they're not just mean. So
Mm,
any negative review that isn't just calling you names generally has some sort of constructive feedbacks and that we can use for our next film, you know?
Sure.
absolutely.
Okay. Is it the first time the two of you have worked together?
Uh,
Well,
s- Officially, like in this capacity,
officially,
yes,
yeah.
but we have worked on a few RMI TV projects in different roles. This is the first time we've worked like together. Because I think like when we worked on a lot of our RMI TV roles, we were just kind of in separate departments.
Okay. How is the film now being rolled out? I gather it's available digitally.
It's
Yes, it
available
is. And
digitally on.
physically, I can grab my physical copy if you want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do that. Go do that.
Be two
It's
seconds.
available digitally on the Google Play Store and like renting it on YouTube. So renting and buying it, so you can own a physical digital copy. But you can also get it physically through Bounty through Black Neon DVDs. And so uh yeah, here we go. Di's got a
Ah,
Blu-ray copy of Wanda and Sully right there.
very good. I like product placement.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, it's been really funny. Pardon me. It's been really funny noticing all the different places that you can find the DVD and the Blu-ray, because I believe it's being produced by a American company. So seeing our movie appear on like Walmart and Barnes and Noble has been has been quite funny.
Very good. Now, I must ask each of you, what inspired you to become filmmakers in the first place?
Which one of us should go first?
Oh, well, I've kind of always I've been one of those high school students that pretty much picked what they wanted to do and has it's just been trying to do that forever. And so I think as a kid I always wanted to be in the film industry. I think I originally wanted to be an actor, but then over time that turned into wanting to be more behind the camera. And it was specifically seeing the film Midnight in Paris as a teenager, because I hadn't really seen dramas like that. Most of the films I watched as a kid were kids' films or action movies or stuff. So going and seeing that movie in the cinema was very different. I was like, oh wow, you can do this with movies. And so I became obsessed with that movie and then became obsessed with other movies of that kind and then wanted to learn how they got made. And then I kept just, and I've always been making little videos and short films since I've been a kid. So it's just kind of natural to me at this point to want to make films.
Okay,
I
D.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience, except it was a little bit different. When I was a kid, I used to make short films and short videos as well, but then I watched a lot of different genres. I watched dramas, I watched action movies, I watched comedies, mostly comedies. And the Hollywood blockbusters sort of lost interest. I lost interest in those around the age of 11. And then I started watching a variety of different films of different genres. But the first film that actually made me realize I wanted to be a filmmaker was Spike Jonze's Being John Malkovich. I was 14.
Yeah.
My sister bought my other sister a DVD because of that movie, because John Cusack was in it and she had a massive crush on him back in the day. And I thought, oh, this the movie looks interesting. It has like, and she had no idea what it was about. And she didn't know that he was a real sleazebag in that film. um, so when they all watched it one Easter when I was 10, they were like, "Oh, that was a weird movie." Anyway, I borrowed it 4 years later when I was 14, and I watched it. Being John Malkovich literally changed my life. It made me realize you don't have to make films about two kindred spirits who develop a friendship, or Transformers, or anything. Like, you don't have to make like a romantic comedy. You can make a film about a guy finding a portal into the head of actor John Malkovich, and you can make it good. You can make it interesting and with substance. You can make it philosophical and mind-bending and funny and weird and dark. And that movie blew my mind. And then I actually wanted to be a filmmaker after watching that. I was like, you can actually make movies like this.
Hmm. I feel like everyone's
Yeah.
got a "you can make movies like this" kind of story.
Yeah,
That's always,
absolutely.
yeah.
Ah, what great inspiration, Spike Jones and Woody Allen. So there you
Yeah.
go. Well done on that. Okay, are you both working together on your next films or separately?
We're working together on a new project, actually, but it's not a film.
We've been working on and off on a bunch of different projects since Wanda and Sully got finished, some of which have gone and into other some of this have been made. So we wrote a short film together called The Fling, which was directed by Jim Acotta.
That
I
is
think
true, yeah.
that's doing the festival circuit right now.
Ah,
But we're also on and off on a bunch of different projects that I don't think we should bother naming because sometimes they decide to become their own thing and sometimes they kind of fizzle out and we decide to do something else.
That's fair,
But
but this specific project I'm determined to get made, but I still won't name it.
yes, yeah,
no, that's
exactly.
fair enough.
Naming it is jinxing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
true, true. Yeah, I don't want to jinx it.
yeah,
Exactly.
fully understand that until everything's signed on the dotted line, all that sort of thing. Yeah, yeah, I
Exactly.
absolutely understand that process.
We learned that
So
the hard way.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah, exactly. I speak to so many filmmakers, and they don't want to talk about the next project unless it's signed off, because it may not eventuate. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I do understand that. So I love to ask this question of all filmmakers, Dee and Nick. Have you seen any films recently that have impressed you, or television shows, or whatever?
I can
good
answer
question.
that because I love movies, so I go see movies all the time. I think recently I went and saw Hundreds of Beavers a couple weeks ago, and that movie was crazy. I was amazed at just like how they were able to kind of make a Looney Tunes cartoon but with real actors. And it was just fascinating. And watching it like both just as a film lover and as a filmmaker, I just had a great appreciation for that film. And also, what one has just come out called The Substance, which blew my mind because I love body horror, I love crazy acting and stuff, but I also love when movies kind of utilize their concept for full effect, like movies like Groundhog Day, for example, where it's just like try to mine every little bit of story you can out of that concept, and it's extremely satisfying and a great use of 2.5 hours.
I
Uh, Yep.
I saw the TV Glow, and I think it's my favorite film of the year so far. Um, I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's essentially a film about a young boy who discovers a TV show in the 90s, and he becomes so invested in it, and it becomes essentially part of his identity.
Mm.
And sorry,
I still need to see that one.
you do. I won't spoil anything, but I found it very personally resonated with me, and the coworker I saw it with, it didn't resonate with her as much, but I think it's because it's very transcoded. It's
It
very
is
much
directed
about
by a transgender woman.
yeah. I think they're non-binary, but
Okay.
yeah, I watched it and it really resonated with me on so many different levels. It was really it really takes the concept of being alienated and just not really being sure if your identity is your true identity and mining that for its full potential. It's very it made me very emotional, even though it's more of a mystery film, if that makes sense. It's very
Yes, I know it. Yeah.
rooted. It's rooted in the
Yeah.
trans experience, and it really, really resonated with me. And I
Yep.
can't wait to see it again. It reminded me of Charlie Kaufman's "I'm Thinking of Ending Things,"
Ah,
which I
Yeah.
think is another. I know this isn't a common interpretation, but I feel like that film is very transcoded as well.
okay.
A lot of his films can be, yeah.
Yeah, I made a whole video essay about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
the impact of film. So no, that's fair enough. And I'm sure Wanda and Sully will have an impact on people. I'm just wondering if the school that you used in Brighton, whether they've seen the film.
I think so.
I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea. I have no idea if it's been shown to anyone from Brighton. We should probably ask Dia about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be interesting to see the
I'd love
reaction.
to I'd love to show it off to some of the students there,
Yep.
especially the media students.
Mm.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
it would be. Absolutely. No. Well, hopefully that will happen. Well, look, congratulations on the film, Wanda and Sully, and we've been speaking to the creators of Wanda and Sully, D-Day and Nick Owens. Thank you so much for talking with me.
No worries, it was a pleasure.
Oh, yeah, it was a
Okay.
pleasure. Happy to be interviewed.
And the film's available digitally and on DVD. Have a look at it. It's a lot of fun. See you later.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. All the
Thanks for having
best.
us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.